All right, good morning, guys. My name is Ryan, and this is my stock market recap of 6-1 and kind of what I'm looking at going into 6-2. So I got a chart of the NASDAQ composite up right now, and clearly we're in an uptrend right now. NASDAQ's been grinding higher pretty steadily. This is what Mark Minervini calls a lockout rally. We had a fall through day on 4-6, and ever since the fall through day on 4-6, if you didn't buy in pretty quick, it's been one that hasn't really given you any dips to get in. I've been trading pretty heavy since 4-6. Unfortunately, I've been tricked a little bit by this market. I'm doing well. I've made good money on this uptrend, but on this Tuesday and that Tuesday, I oversold and kind of got whipsawed out of a lot of my winners. But anyways, the Nasdaq's got. I think I like this trend the best. You can also draw a trend kind of like this that connects the lows. That's a lot more steep, and we're right on support if you draw that. That's an awfully steep channel. That's not something that can be sustained, but for the moment, the Nasdaq's on fire, and this is something that you really can't think there's anything wrong with this market. There's almost no distribution on the indexes, and leading stocks are acting really well. So very bullish. The market's bullish until it's not. It would take several distribution days at this point for the market to get sick. So my outlook going forward is definitely bullish. You have to be. And then just looking at the weekly chart, if you zoom out, this is what I would call the bull market line. It connects the tops from 03 to 07. You can kind of see that this line right here was resistance. It was resistance in 2016, and then it became support in 2018, and then once again, and that May or March sell-off, it acted as support. So I think long term, we're still in a bull market. I don't think that ever really changed. And going forward, I mean, clearly the all-time highs are kind of what we're gunning for, or this gap that's about to get filled. So we'll see what comes. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm in and what I'm thinking and what I did yesterday. Um, I trade pretty heavily off of this red dotted line, which is the 8-day exponential moving average. I'm kind of a middle term trader, I would say. Like 2 to 3 weeks is usually my hold time. So I like the 8-day moving average for getting in and out and adjusting my exposure. So as long as the market's above the 8-day exponential moving average, or what Bigelow calls, Steve Bigelow, he's on YouTube. Look him up, he's great. Um, as long as we're above that 8-day exponential moving average, I see nothing wrong with this market, and I'm very aggressive. If we get below that 8-day exponential moving average, that's whenever I typically back off and kind of pull back my exposure and try to focus in on my winners and cut my laggards. So for the moment, here's what I'm in, and I'll kind of go through what I'm looking at. I bought some Apple yesterday. It's right here near all-time highs. I'm going to be I'm a pretty weak holder of this. I would sell it somewhere around this 316 level. I'm gonna hold it, see if it can get in, see if it breaks out. If it doesn't break out, I'm not that upset. I didn't buy a big position here, but that's something I bought yesterday. I'm in Adobe. I've been in and out of Adobe since March. I've managed to not make much money because I end up selling all these lows and rebuying. But I'm in Adobe. I've got a decent gain in it right now, and I'm holding this. And my game plan is to sell it off the 21-day moving average, which is this yellow line right here. And I know I keep a really busy chart. I've got a lot of lines, a lot of moving averages. I don't put any extra weight on any moving average other than the 20, the 50, the 200, and the 8. But I like to put a lot of moving averages on my chart because some stocks catch at different moving averages. So I'll trade an instrument off of its character. AGQ, this is my biggest winner right now. I bought it a few weeks ago. This is double silver. I bought it at 22, and I've got a decent position. I'm letting it ride. I'm waiting for a decisive break of the 8-day moving average before I sell it, which it hasn't been able to do yet. I'm not really looking to add on to AGQ, at least not yet. I bought some AMD yesterday. AMD is one I've been in and out of since April. I've not made much money in it since April because it's clearly been very choppy, but I see this as a big cup with a handle. The handle's a little deep, but we just had that nice shakeout last week to the 50, so I think it's got a chance to break this downtrend line, and if it breaks this downtrend line, I would increase the position size. If I find it down by the 50-day moving average, I'm going to be selling it. I'm in Amazon. Amazon was one of my first buys. I bought it somewhere down in here pretty early on March, whenever the market started bottoming. It's my biggest dollar winner, I think, since this whole thing started because I've had a big position in it the whole time. And I've got a big position in this, and I'm looking for it to decisively break this 20-day moving average. As long as it stays above the 20-day, I'm not selling this. I bought some BJ's wholesale yesterday. This is just a power play. I'm a seller somewhere around 35.50-ish. I'd probably give it, if it's at 35.50, I'd give it to about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then if it doesn't catch, I'd sell it there. But this is just a power play. I'm looking for a quick move here. I'm not married to this. If it sticks, it sticks. But I'm definitely, it's a smaller position size, and I'm looking for a quick move. This is just a cup type handle, cup with handle type base, broke out. It's an IPO, all-time highs. Great earnings report was the breakout. I'm looking for a continuation move. Biomarin, this is one I bought on this day, and I added onto it this day just from the candlestick signals coming through the 8-day moving average. It's also a cup type base, kind of went sideways. I don't have a huge position here, and I'm just hanging on to what I bought down here and seeing what it does. It's definitely a volatile stock. These are pretty big moves percentage-wise, so I'm not overly eager to add on. I am looking to buy more, but I kind of want to see it high or low before I add on. Got a Domino's pizza position. Been in and out of Domino's since March. I've managed to make a little money in it, but it's getting some traction. I tried to make a new high yesterday. Got turned away, but that's no reason to sell it yet. The way I'm trading this one is I'm going to give it the 21-day moving average plus a day because it likes to break the 21, but then it comes right back. Breaks the 21, comes right back. You can see that pretty much since this whole trend started. So that's how I'm going to trade this position. I'm in Facebook. I bought Facebook this day right here as it came through the 8 because it's a cup with handle type base. And this was the line that kind of made me like it. If you draw this downtrend line like that, you can kind of see that we gapped up to it, came up over it, and then got support at it. So I was buying it when we got support at the downtrend line. And then I added on a few shares yesterday. My game plan, probably going to reduce the position if it gets below 220. And then if it stays up, I'm just going to hold and see what it turns into because I think it could be a big winner. It was a crazy earnings report it had last quarter. Fortinet, that's something I bought last week. I bought it coming through the 8. I'm still in it. We'll see where it goes. It's just a clear leader in the security software space. Huge breakout on a great earnings report, and then that's the first little pullback. This is my kind of setup. I love to buy strength. I'd love to buy the first pullback after massive strength. That's what I do, and it's kind of my bread and butter. This may not work, but I've had this trade work for me many times. My buy is somewhere in this candle somewhere. I've been in gold since about March. I started buying it this day. And my average position is at 158, so I'm slightly below the 50-day moving average. I haven't really touched it in 2 or 3 weeks. I think what the Fed's doing is really good for gold, so I'm trying to be really patient with this. I'm not up very much on it, but I think it's a pretty solid thing. So my game plan with this position is to give it the 50 plus a day. So if it were to break the 50, I'd probably hold it, and then I'd wait and see what it does the next day. And then, if it sells off again the next day, I'd be out for a small loss at this point if it did it in one day, or a small gain. And then if it catches at the 50, I'm a winner, and this thing probably go quite a bit higher. Been in Melly. I bought it on the breakaway gap, and then I added on to it this day and that day, and I'm just sitting with it now. This is one I'm glad I didn't get shaken out of it that day. I think Melly could be a big winner. They tell me, I don't know, but they tell me it doesn't matter to me. I trade the chart more than I trade what the company is, but they tell me this is the Amazon of South America, and that's a powerful gap. If you look at that on the weekly chart, it's a monster breakout, and it's just been powering higher. So this is one I'm really trying to hang on to for the big move. I think it could be a big winner. I've been in Microsoft since March. I've kind of gotten chopped out of it during this little area right here. I actually bought it for the first time on that day right there, and then managed to sell it there, buy it back there, sell it there, buy it back here, and I think I sold it there, and I bought it back here, and now I'm sitting with it. So I haven't made much money in Microsoft right here because I keep getting chopped. That's one of the things I'm trying to focus on is kind of slowing my game down and giving stocks the next morning. Because if you give stuff the next morning in this market, maybe start with a smaller position size and then give it to the next morning if it gets down to where your stop zone is. I found that you trade a lot better. So I'm in Microsoft. I've got a decent position here, and I'm going to be pretty stubborn. I'm going to do the 21 plus a day. So if it were to crack open, I'm going to hold it another day and just let it wiggle a little more because I think it's going to resolve to the upside because I think the market's going to resolve to the upside. So I'm in Microsoft and I'm waiting on that to break. We'll see how it goes. Netflix, this was one of my first buys whenever the follow through day happened. I sold it last week when it sold off, but then I've started rebuying it once it caught at the 50. First return to the 50 after a big breakout into all-time highs. That's my bread and butter. That's an O'Neill buy point, William O'Neill. It's a big influence of how I trade. And I added on some shares yesterday, and I'd probably add on a couple more shares if it's up again today because it's crossing through the 8-day moving average, and then I'll be done with this trade until it higher lows. And that's my current game plan. We've got a small position in service now. I bought it here, got shaken out at break even last week, and then rebought it right here, and now I'm just kind of sitting with it. I'm not buying big, but it's in the buy range of this cup. You can see the cup, and then we're chopping in the buy range. And ServiceNow is a monster of a company, so I'd like to stick in it if I can, but I don't have a huge cushion in this one. I might even be break even or slightly down on it. I'm not certain. I don't have my play sheet up right now. I'm in PayPal. I started buying it on this day once it caught at the gap. I got shaken out at the low and I rebought it as it came back up, and so I've got like a 6-7% gain, but that's a monster breakaway gap out of this base, and I love breakaway gaps. I play those every day. Those are some of my favorite plays. Bought Regen off the 50 last week. It's working so far. We'll see how this trade goes. It's as long as it stays above the 8, I'm going to stay in this trade, and it's above the 8 right now. Sprouts, this is one I bought on the reversal last week, and I'm just sitting with it. Bigelow calls this like a J hook. I think he calls it the classic pattern where you have what he calls a fry pan bottom, and then it shoots up, and then it makes a J hook. He calls that the classic pattern. Stochastics are oversold. MACD's getting to the point where it'll cross over. I like this kind of trade. It's a power play. I'm a seller below the 20, and I'm a holder as long as this thing stays above the 8-day, which it's staying above it right now. And Vertex, this is one I've been in since the follow-through day. I did get chopped out right before earnings, but I rebought it, and then I sold it this day as it fell through the 21, and I rebought it this day as it came through the open. So I've been nimble with Vertex, but I think it's a big winner. It's got crazy earnings. This chart, it's off to the races right now. It barely corrected in March. I like how tight that base was. I think this is going to be a big winner going forward. So I'm trying to, if I do get shaken out of it, I'm always looking to rebuy it as long as it stays above its 10-week line, which it caught right at its 10-week line last week. So last play I'm in, I bought some Zigzy yesterday. Zigzy, it's got pretty darn good earnings. It had this cup type handle base that it blew out of, and now it's at a tight zone that it's trading in. I think this could be what's called a high tight flag if you follow O'Neill's work, which is where a stock doubles and then holds within a 25% correction, corrects for about 5 weeks, and then breaks out again. So I bought small. I'm a seller. You can see 18 is a clear horizontal, so I'm a seller around the 18 zone, and I'm just going to let it go if it goes. So that's what I've been in. Going forward, I don't have a lot of trades that I like for today. Like I said, there's a couple of the trades I'm in, like AMD, which I'm in. I would buy more of that if it ends up working, which it's up in pre-market, so we'll see how it trades. And then Netflix, I'd buy more of this if it's up, which it is up in pre-market, so I might be buying a little bit more of this today. But other than those two, I'm going to be pretty cautious because I like to aggressively buy on days like this day where the market interacts with the 8-day moving average, or this day, or this day. If you've never used the 8-day moving average before, it can really change your life, because if you look, like even in the trend at end of last year, if you traded off the 8-day moving average, you did pretty well. And then once the 8-day breaks and you go to cash, you do pretty well. And a little bit about me, I've been trading for 2.5 years. This is what I do for a living. I have managed to have, this doesn't happen to me every month, but so far I've not had a red month this year. So, take what you want. I'm a trader that didn't lose money in March. I was completely cash this day, and I was short right here. Rode the market short, started covering right in here, started buying stocks right in here, and now I'm buying stocks as it rises. I interpret the market action. That's what I do. So anyways, it's my first video. We'll see what I end up doing with these and how frequently. I'm not sure what I want to commit to or what I end up doing, but I do like kind of talking about general market, and then it's easy for me to talk about what I'm doing in the market. Um, Again, don't I'm no financial advisor. I'm just a guy that trades for a living. So uh, trade at your own risk. Listen to what I say at your own risk. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. Good luck today, and I'll talk to y'all later.